The question of the day is, what is samsara? And how does that relate to you and to me? How is that relevant to our life in this world? Hi, I'm Cyril War, also known as Chandra. I have a master's in the study of religion from Oxford University and about 50,000 hours of mantra meditation experience. If you're from India and you're from a Hindu background, I humbly request that you subscribe, like, share these videos, because in this way you're influencing the YouTube algorithm to show this video to people outside of India, and in this way you can fulfill your sacred dharma to help spread Sanatan Dharma all over the world. And if you're from America or Europe or Australia or anywhere else outside of India and you're interested in yoga philosophy, then also please do consider subscribing. So the question of the day, what is samsara? The Buddhists have their explanation, and those who follow Sanatan Dharma or the ancient tradition of India also have theirs. The definitions kind of, are quite similar, but there's one essential element that differentiates the Buddhist definition from the, let's say, Hindu or Sanatan Dharma definition. What I'm going to give you as a definition is a definition that comes directly from my favorite book in the whole wide world, which I'm looking here on my phone, called the Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Bhagavad Purana. But before I do, I just want to say a few words of how samsara in its generic definition is really relevant to all of us. If we believe in reincarnation, we basically understand the concept of samsara. Right? The word samsara in its most generic, simple definition means repeated birth and death, reincarnation, life after life after life, in conjunction with the concept of karma. So if you're happy with that definition, you can stop the video right now. If you want a little bit more nuanced definition coming from the Srimad Bhagavatam, then stick around. Here's the definition itself from the 7th canto, chapter 2, I'll tell you right now, it's from verse 25 and 26, okay? So this is the translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, my spiritual grandfather, and whose translation and commentaries of the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Purana are the most widely read in the world. So check this out. In his bewildered state, this is a personality called Hiranyakashipu speaking. He's considered to be like a real demoniac being. He's speaking to his aggrieved the wives of his brother who just got killed by an avatar of Vishnu called Varaha. And so he's consoling his sisters-in-law, and he's telling them this. In his bewildered state, the living entity, you see, so in the Bhagavad Purana, there's this essential idea that we are individual beings, which is something you don't find in Buddhism, at least in Zen Buddhism. This idea that there's an ontological, self. That's why Buddhists talk about Anatma. Anatma literally means we don't believe in Atma or in soul. But in the Sanatan Dharma conception, you have this idea of a soul, of the Atma, a reality, a spiritual reality inside the material physical body. So listen to this. In his bewildered state, the living entity accepting the body and mind to be the self. So in other words, you're thinking, oh, I am Indian, I'm Gujarati, I'm from Tamil Nadu, I'm from Bombay, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm Australian, I'm French, I'm gay, I'm straight. That's an illusion. But you accept those things as yourself. And then therefore you consider some people to be your kinsmen and others to be outsiders. And I'm sorry to say, you see this in India a lot with the caste system, right? Oh, he's not, he's not from, the Dalits, the untouchables. I'm a Brahmin, you're a Kshatriya, you're a Vaishya, you're a Gujarati, you're, so many tribes. And you also find this, of course, everywhere else in the world, like America first, nationalism. I'm not saying that those things don't exist or shouldn't exist, but everyone should remember that underneath all these temporary, superficial identifications is the real self, the real spiritual self, the individual soul. And the only identity of that spiritual soul, according to the Bhagavad Gita, is that we are parts and parcels. We're amsas, as the Sanskrit says, of Krishna or God. So because of this misconception, right, of considering some people outsiders and some people insiders, you're my friend, you're my enemy, one suffers. So the more you identify with your body and the more you start thinking, oh, these are outsiders, these are my kinsmen, these are my friends, these are my enemies, the more you suffer. Indeed, the accumulation of such concocted material ideas is the cause of suffering and so-called happiness in the material world. The conditioned soul must, thus situated, must take birth in different species and work in various types of consciousness, thus creating new bodies. You see, so you identify with your body as the self, and then you make a difference between who's my enemy, who's my friend. You act in such consciousness. You create more happiness, more unhappiness towards others and towards yourself, and in this way you're forced to reincarnate again and again, birth after birth. This continued material life is called samsara. This continued material life of repeated birth and death is called samsara. So the Buddhists will say, no, there is no soul. So then the question is, well, what reincarnates? Who reincarnates? Right? If you're not talking about an actual self who's surviving the death experience and going into another physical body, then where's the concept of samsara? Like which being is incarnating from one body to another? That's why I would humbly say, the Zen Buddhist concept of reincarnation is incomplete, because it's lacking that notion of Atma, the very thing that they, unfortunately, at least publicly and in some majority circles, deny the existence of the soul. It's the soul that reincarnates from one body to another. And then, of course, in the Advaita Vedanta, the non-dual school, there's a further mistake that's made, and that's the idea to believe that the soul is completely one with God, without any distinction from God. The Atma is Brahman. Brahman is Atma. So Brahman means, spirit, white light, God in its impersonal form. And you and me, we're all individual souls, and we just kind of become one after samsara is over, right? And Krishna, interestingly enough, in the Bhagavad Gita talks about Brahma Nirvana, the Nirvana of Brahman, where you actually accept, spirit as reality. But what the non-dualists miss out on is the understanding that each individual soul, while being one, granted, with God, is also individual, has its own individual cognition and individuality, even after liberation. But that's a topic for another subject. That's a topic for another video. The point is, we're all in this together. We're all somehow or other in this material world, reincarnating birth after birth, and we got to get out. We got to get out, because reincarnating again and again sucks. It hurts. It's painful. Whether it's Buddha or Krishna, they all say that material life is suffering. Now, while in this world we embrace it, we embrace this world as an energy of God. We don't deny it and say we're not of this world, we don't believe it, and therefore we shouldn't get married, we shouldn't make money, we shouldn't pay our taxes, we shouldn't live in the world. No, we live in the world, understanding though that this world is sort of like a temporary manifestation of an all-loving God who's waiting for you, who's waiting for us to go back to his kingdom without a material body as pure spirit souls and engage in eternal loving relationships with him in what's called Vaikuntha, or Goloka Vrindavan, or the kingdom of God, to use Christian terms. Thanks for watching. Again, if you're from India, please do subscribe, help this channel out. In this way you're fulfilling your dharma. And if you're from the rest of the world, I hope you liked it, and I hope we'll see you in another video. 1, 2, 3, 4!